Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. This is a place where talent meets coffee. Today, our talent is talent surpassed. I am so excited to introduce the co founder of Flam. This is a company like none other. It is building the next social metaverse platform. This is a very meta company in a lot of ways, and we're going to discover today why. What hit me about uh, Shaurya Agarwal, our guest for today's podcast, is everything about the way he went about this startup is a aha moment. For me, the just listening about the product brings an aha moment. Looking at his slides when he pitched this startup at one of the events I attended with him, every slide was like an aha moment. So, with so many aha moments together, somebody so young as Shaurya Agarwal is certainly a befitting guest for the very aha Pitch Cafe podcast. We started this Pitch Cafe brand, showcasing Silicon Valley investors roasting student founders. But hey, today's student founder, Shaurya Agarwal from Bits Pilani, is not to be roasted. He's got everything right and he's here to win. So let's get started as brief introduction by Shaurya Agarwal about himself. Welcome, Shaurya. Welcome to Pitch Cafe podcast.
Thanks a lot, Vida. This is really interesting, and appreciate you talking so much highly about Flam and founders as well. So I think yes, I mean, metaverse is not going to be a use case. It's going to be the next internet. It's going to be the successor of internet, where everything will happen that we do today on internet, right? So you do everything on internet today, from socializing to creating content to consuming information. Everything is happening on internet today. That's exactly going to happen in the metaverse, right? So what we believe is something very, very fundamental. So I think internet became massively adopted not because you could book cabs on uh, internet, or you could order your dinner on internet. Internet became massively adopted because people could socialize on internet. So when Orkut happened as a starting point, when Facebook happened, when multiple other social networks happened, that is when internet got massively adopted, right? Socializing with people you love is such a fundamental human need that people just do it, right? So they would cross any entry barrier to socialize, right? And internet gave that freedom. So I think I still remember my parents calling me and trying to understand how to send a friend request on Facebook, or maybe how to send messages on WhatsApp and stuff like that. They never called me to understand how to book a cab, right? They never called me how to book Uber or order food, right? That was all very organic and natural. I think that's exactly the case that's going to happen with metaverse. So metaverse is not going to become big with logical use cases like education technology or fintech. Obviously all of this will happen, whether it's advertising or whether it's e-commerce, and all of that is happening in bits and pieces already, right? But the massive adoption that we talk about, that's going to happen only if you make people socialize on metaverse, make people capable to create content on metaverse. So I think creation is the first and foremost important thing that we focus on, because once people get the capability and the power to create content, that's the whole starting point when you begin to create and then socialize on any new technology. So what Facebook built on internet, right? That's exactly what Flam is building on metaverse. So we want to make sure that people have the ability to create augmented reality content, which is the basic metaverse content that you will have to explain or simplify enough for people to create. And I think that's exactly what our focus point is.
So this is truly fantastic. You hit the nail on its head when you say you're starting with content creation. And another thing which I really liked about what you said just now is it's going to be the next internet and it's all about connecting with other people. So these
Yeah.
are two things which you critically, you've likely nailed it. So let's come to that one statement. Metaverse is the future of internet. When you're sitting in your student dorm and you're thinking about this, how did such a radical idea flash to you? What were you guys thinking when you started Flam? What was that moment? How did you go about this whole thing?
Sure. So I'll be super honest. How did this happen? So nobody thinks about building a metaverse on day one. It's not. I mean, these things cannot be natural, right? They have to happen, right? Things happen, and then you figure out on the way. In my case, I think I was very fortunate. So I sort of always wanted to build a consumer company for the global internet users, or for the global users. Now I would say that not internet users but global metaverse users maybe. But I think what happened was, in my final year at BITS, I got a handwritten letter from my dad. Uh, Along with that letter, there were few childhood photographs of our family, which was very 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 different from any other social media. So I kept going back to those photos and those that particular handwritten letter again and again, and I realized that if the same piece of content, text or photos have had been sent to me on any other social network, whether it's like a Facebook or WhatsApp, I would have either looked at it once, or maybe completely would have ignored it, right? Because there is so much of social content thrown at you at every point in time, or digital content, I should say, that people are just sort of, people are resistant of that content, right? You get so much of content at every point in time. So we sort of realized that I had a quick call with my batchmate Rajat. He was a good friend then. Now he's a co-founder at Flam. So we discussed that, hey, we need to think about this, right? I mean, can we truly create a sort of network where people have much more value than just something completely digital or virtual? So can we
Right.
create a tangible sort of a value which stays for a very long time? So
Right.
our concept was very simple. Uh, we wanted to develop a social network that stays even if we don't live. I mean, people generally keep shifting from one social network to another, from Orkut to Facebook, Facebook to Instagram, Instagram to Snapchat or TikTok now. Our idea was that let's build a social network that has so much value that it should live forever. Like, we might live or not live, but the network should live forever. So that's where it all started with. That was a starting point.
A truly amazing moment. It's coming from a really good place. Anything which comes with a good place, with a really good intention, it will always stay. uh, I remember specifically, when you're describing this whole moment, I watched this movie, Star Wars. In Star Wars, what happens is there is this whole hologram where it goes and plays the Queen Leia's episode. She's calling for help, and this call is coming from few centuries ago in another parallel world. So what, and that hologram is being projected by a robot in another world to the people who get that message. So this is, and they go through a wormhole and go to the another world which is several years behind in time or ahead in time. So
Yeah.
you're essentially creating a parallel universe here. Do you see it like that?
Absolutely, Vida. In fact, we call it the twin earth. We call it the twin earth because you can create whatever you want. You can. I mean, why do you really want to live in that single frame or the single world that has been created? You can create your own worlds, and you can live in that parallel universe, as you mentioned, or a twin earth, as we like to say. But yes, you're absolutely correct.
Wow. So the one of the applications I can think of right now is if somebody has lost someone, then you can keep the memory of all those person who is not no more, and you can bring them alive to this person. This is becoming like a therapy. So I worked on one of these startups, just bringing it in context. But let's go back to the story of Flam. So Flam today is got an amazing traction in India. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened after you started and how you got that amazing traction?
Sure, sure. With that's a really good user love that we would like to talk about. So I think we are building a very illogical company. It's a very different sort of a statement I like to make, but yes, I think we are doing nothing rational, and I think majority of things that happen for no reason, right? I mean, who would believe that uh, something like Snapchat, where people are putting up like cat faces or like dog faces or dog filters, would become $100 billion company? But I think
Yeah.
that's how we like to think, that if you want something to be massively adopted, right? If you really want something that should be used by 4 billion or 5 billion internet people or internet users, you cannot be logical all the time, right? I mean, all these use cases like education technology or fintech came much later, but like you had to come up with use cases like Facebook or Snapchat for internet to be massively adopted.
Yeah.
I think more than logic, what people should really care about in consumer companies is the user love. That's the only thing that you should care about. If users love you, then I think you don't need to care about the logic that much. I think that's something which has been a good news for us. So we launched this company in May 2021, and
Oh,
I think since then it's been 6 months now. We raised our seed round in around June and July 2021. Again, like 2 months from there. The best part has been that we don't spend too much on marketing. Like obviously you have to go out and tell people what you're building, but we never spend too much on marketing. The idea has been very simple, that can you blow people's mind, and if they're like really happy, if they really love you, then I think they keep on talking about you, and that's the only thing that wins eventually. So I like to say this pretty much, that you don't need 1,000 users who like you. You just need 100 people who just fall in love with you. I mean, they can do whatever you really want for them, right? For you basically.
so
Uh,
this is the Shaurya Agarwal statement, the Shaurya Agarwal moment. We don't need 1,000 users really who like you, but we need those few hundred users who love you. Okay, I'll mark that as Shaurya Agarwal statement, the Shaurya Agarwal moment. So yeah,
Thanks
uh,
so much, but yeah, I think that's very important to understand, because in this whole frenzy, people just try to get growth at whatever cost. As a lot of people like to say, we need growth at whatever cost. But I think that's not something we really care about. So yeah.
so this reminds me of one of the things we learned at the masterclass at FalconX B2B Accelerator. It is called product-led growth. So the product is inherently viral. So what is so lovable about your product? What do customers really love about you? What is that factor, the aha factor?
Sure, Vida. I think, as I mentioned in the beginning itself, when you give people the power to create, right? For example, let's take an analogy over here. So we are to Snapchat what TikTok is to YouTube. So YouTube took almost 10 years to get to 15 million content creators, and I'm talking about video content creators, right? So I mean, if you can create video content, you can literally publish that on YouTube, and that's about it, right? And then a lot of people can consume that content. So YouTube took almost 10 years to get to 15 million content creators, video content creators, and TikTok could uh, acquire 17 million, like more than 17 million content creators in less than 1 year, right? Because they
Mhm.
democratize content creation.
Right.
So anyone, any person like me who doesn't understand content creation at all could create good video content, can create good video content on TikTok. Like in fact, not just good, in fact, amazing video content on TikTok,
Yes.
right? In just a few clicks, you can do that.
Right.
Uh, that's exactly what is needed for you to get users on the platform and really share the content, because people like to create and then share it with their friends, right? And if you get appreciation for that, people love that feeling, right? That's exactly what we do on every social media. We create content and people like that content and we feel good about it, right? Even if that one person likes it. So in case of Snapchat, it did not start as a one to many platform. I could send a picture of myself to you, and then even if I get an appreciation from you, that's good for me, right? So I think that's exactly what we did. We have a very interesting full cycle. So on Snapchat, you just have 200,000 AR content creators in last 5 years. They could just acquire 200,000 AR content creators. In the last 5 months itself, we have crossed 120,000 AR content creators. So we are growing 10x faster than Snapchat in terms of acquiring AR content creators. It should be it's basically as simple as sending a text message on WhatsApp. So my parents can create AR content now,
So,
which was
so, so
not.
I'll stop you here. Tell me, what is the AR content you're enabling with Flam on your platform? What kind of AR content can a user create?
Sure. So with the AR content, I would like to highlight this because a lot of people don't really understand that this at this point. AR content is the content that is only consumable through a camera. So, for example, on Snapchat, the filters that you put on yourself is the AR content. It's not the video that you create with the help of those filters, because that can be consumed on the smartphone interface as well, right? But
Right.
those filters can only be consumed with your phone camera, right? Or the Snapchat camera. So
Right.
that content which some developers created on Snapchat Lens Studio, that is the AR content.
Mm.
So in our case, the Flamcards product that we have released as the first product, users can just share Flamcards with each other, and in order to consume content on those Flamcards, you really need a Flam camera.
You need a Flam camera and you have a Flam card. So both of these go together when you purchase your product or you
Exactly.
download your app. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And what is so special about the Flam camera? What is so unique about it?
So I think the unique point about Flam camera, multiple things, but I'll not go into those details. At a very high level, there are three things that we do and that we have really optimized. The first thing is, so for example, if I send you a Flam card saying happy birthday with a or some sort of a wish, right? Uh, you just have to open your Flam camera and point on that card. And literally in less than 200 milliseconds, the content is overlaid on the physical reality. So that physical reality is Flam cards at this point in time. But
Wow.
that detection happens really, really fast. So for example, if you scan a particular thing and if the content takes like say even a minute for the overlay to happen, you just
Yeah.
lose interest, right? It should happen like in a millisecond, and that is when the whole experience is like magical. So
Right.
first point that the camera solves is we detect the image really fast.
Right.
The second part is augmentation. So we augment the content on top of that real world. That's the virtual content which we augment on the real world. And the
Right.
third and the most interesting piece is tracking. So you can move your card however you really want, and the content plays exactly on that card. So even if you, so it feels like the card has come to life. So
Right.
that whole experience is really, really magical, I would say.
Wow, really, I'm yet to see a use case. Myself, I'm just to feel the use case. I want to buy this whole product. So, is this compatible with the phone, or these are two standalone elements? How does this work?
Thanks for asking that question, because I think that's one of our USPs. So this camera application that we have created, it's just like Snap Camera, like Snap used to call itself a camera company. I think Flam is just a single camera that does everything for you. Uh, so sorry, I missed your question. Can you come
Yeah,
again?
yeah. No worries. You said that the Flam card can move any which way. How is this compatible with the phone, or how?
Okay, got it, got it. Now I know. Yeah. So I think the best part is that our camera is compatible on every smartphone that exists today, which is very interesting, because otherwise there are multiple applications built on AR Core or AR Kit which are not compatible on every smartphone. So our camera application is compatible on every smartphone that is there today, and this is compatible even with the future hardwares. So, for example, when we talk about metaverse or when we talk about AR, it's not going to be limited to smartphones. In next few years, you will see everyone with smart glasses, right? Nobody knows whether it's going to happen in like next 2 years or 20 years or 10 years. But whenever it's going to happen, I think that the most interesting part is our experiential layer or our application is going to be compatible with those devices as well.
It's definitely going to happen. I think smart glasses, and it's the next big wave. The problem is the usability. The current smart glasses have a lot of glitches. So in terms of that, how is the usability use case so smooth in Flam? What have you done to do take care of that? In what way
Yeah,
is, if you can go a little bit into that?
sure, Vida. So I think, yeah, you are right. First thing is that, I mean, metaverse can be big only when we upgrade the hardwares eventually. So obviously, hardwares we believe cannot be the starting point, because uh, smart glasses today are where smartphones were like 15 years back. There is no
Exactly.
specific use case. Like if I ask you today to switch to a smart glass, you won't
Exactly.
feel very comfortable, because there are multiple usage issues and battery issues, and multiple challenges that way. But I think eventually smart glasses will have to exist. That's like 100% probability game.
Right.
It's just that smart glasses or hardwares cannot be the starting point. So the starting point has to be an experiential first product, which is what we are building at Flam. So we don't really want you to switch to any new hardware. You can experience everything on the smart phone camera itself. Uh, the best news is that this camera that we have worked on, that's the whole IP. So basically, we worked on this particular experience that it should happen really fast. The whole rendering should happen really fast. So once you
Right.
detect the image, the rendering should happen really fast. Also, the detection should happen really fast. So it should not take a minute or say 2 minutes for you to, because if I have to go into a little more detail, uh, if there are 100 million targets in the database, it's a search problem, right? How do you search in real time
Yeah.
which content has to be overlaid on which target, right? It's a search problem. There is no search such solution to that. But that's the exact thing which we solved. So even if there are 100 million images in the database, we can really nail down and detect the image in less than 200 milliseconds. And then we
Wow.
can overlay the content on top of it.
Fantastic. This is really exciting. I love computer. I've been following computer vision startups for a while now. It's hard, but it's super exciting. It expands our sense of vision and experience. So,
Yeah.
you know, with that, I just wanted to ask, since you did so well in India and now you're moving to the US, what kind of transition has this been in the US, and who are your partners in the US? And what kind of experience you're having here?
Sure. So I think the experience has been very interesting in the US in the last 10 days itself. So I mean, the customer success team has been talking to the US users who are using, or like teenagers, uh, almost the entire night because of the time difference. But we are getting some really interesting feedbacks on the use cases, and on the way that people are showing excitement. This is not very different from how users used to show excitement in India as well. But I think just because people are more acquainted with technology in the US, they understand what we are really trying to build. Uh, so they're coming up with more interesting use cases than just the usual ones. But yes, I think partnership with Walgreens is going to be really interesting, because you solve your distribution challenge on day one itself. So
Right.
now anyone can order a Flam card in the US and get it delivered, or maybe they can go and pick up from Walgreens in less than say 24 hours.
Wow, fantastic. So, I'm so excited about this product. My questions are going to be endless here. One thing I remember very well, you told during the masterclass was, uh, hardware first approach will take time. So we're doing it software first. So what did you mean by that? How does that play into your strategy of scale and, the way you're going about your product landscape?
Sure, Vida. So I think we have a very we break down metaverse very fundamentally. That in order to first things first, I think metaverse is an inevitable future, right? I mean, it's not that it'll happen, or there are no questions about it. It is going to happen. It's already happening.
Right.
Now, there are two ways you can lead towards like massive adoption. And when I say massive adoption, I don't mean 100 million or 200 million users. I mean 4 billion, like all the internet users. Like everyone was pre-internet was not on internet, right? We were doing everything on pen and paper or like other traditional ways. Everyone shifted to internet, and now everyone will shift to metaverse. This is like inevitable, right? If this has to happen, there are two ways. Either you go the hardware first approach. So for that, what you really need to do is you make sure that everyone who is on smartphone today should be switching to glasses, which is
Right.
very hard because you
Yeah.
have to have a use case. Like, you cannot just ask me to just start wearing glasses for tomorrow. Even if you pay me like $1,000 or $5,000, I'll be like, I don't need the glasses, right? Because there is no use case. If I can do everything on my phone, and if I'm really comfortable, why do I really switch, right? There should be a very
Yeah.
fundamental reason, right?
Correct.
So I think hardware first approach has challenges where, like, you don't have a use case where you can convince people, and you cannot just convince people by more money. So
Yeah.
Facebook might want to spend, and that's good for every other metaverse company that Facebook is betting so big on metaverse. But I think spending $10 billion or $100 billion won't change the user behavior. I mean, obviously it can, but if you're going the hardware first approach, if Facebook comes and tells me that, hey, dude, this is like the free hardware for you, can you start wearing it from tomorrow? I won't, right? So
Right.
hardware first approach has a challenge for user acceptance. You have to distribute those hardwares to like all the internet users, which is very hard, both cost wise and the usage wise. I mean, how do you really do it, right?
Yeah.
Second thing is, even if you build the hardware, you will have to build the application layer on top of it. So, for
Yeah.
example, smartphones don't have any value if I don't have like 1,000 applications on the App Store or Play Store, right? You have to build applications anyways, even on
Correct.
the smart glasses. And the third part will become where users will start to use those applications, right? So we are going entirely the opposite way. So we are saying that this is the hardware first approach. Our approach is experience first approach. So we are not challenging people to like, or just, we are not just expecting too much from people, right? कि आप लोग change कर लो
Yeah.
hardware. That's very hard, right? It's very hard for people to. We are saying that whatever hardware is like massively distributed, which is like smartphones today, we have built an experiential layer and an application layer on top of that hardware, which will
Yeah.
lead to adoption of metaverse content creation and consumption and social creation and consumption. And
Yeah.
then eventually we will shift to hardwares when people will say that, hey guys, like, I think I can have a much better experience if I have glasses instead of like phones, right? Because I have to keep holding my phone if I have to have that experience, right?
Yes.
If you can just give me glasses which I can wear and experience the metaverse world, why not? That is when people will go towards glasses.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at these, for some reason, your startup reminds me of superhero stories. It's like you, a human being with such limited senses and physical abilities, you're giving him a superhero ability, and by wearing a glass, you become a superhero. So this is,
Yeah.
to me, it's like a superhero story, but you're selling it very humbly, like you're saying, experience a memory and bring meaning and feelings into your life. So
Yeah.
that way, I agree with you. If you look at the superhero analogy versus meaning and purpose, you're selling meaning and purpose, which is more fundamental to human beings. So
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. you know uh, I always wanted to ask this question to every founder. uh, I'm going to ask you as well, you can answer if you like it. What was it like nailing your seed round funding? What was it like approaching that investor, and how did it feel, and what were you going through?
So whether I'll be very honest again. So obviously there are multiple stories of how hard raising money has been for founders, and I think you never know. At certain points there are high points and there are low points, so you can never really comment. So I'm not commenting anything on what generally happens, but I think in our case, uh, we have a very strong thesis, right? So it's not. So there are two types of pitches, right? One is story. So obviously, when you're raising money, you have to have a very convincing story. But if you have a very strong thesis to that story, it should not be everything in the air, right? Everything is not in the thin air. If
Yeah.
founders can really see that this is happening, then they
Yeah.
can make everyone see that vision, right? So I think in our case, the story was compelling for sure, but we had a very fundamental thesis of why Flam is going to be the ultimate winner, and that's the conviction even today. We know why this is going to win,
Yeah.
and we can see that so clearly that we cannot unsee that now. And if we cannot unsee that, it gives so much confidence to investors that, hey, I mean, whatever they are talking has a logic, and more than logic, I think there is a very strong thesis. So
Yeah.
I think even when we were raising our seed round, it was not very hard. In fact, we could raise that in less than 2 months.
That's
because
so quick. You started in May, and you within 2 months you raised the money, and you're in the market, US market, in 6 months. I think that's pretty well thought out. So, did you work out for a long time before you actually registered your company? Did you have a long journey before you actually registered your company, or did you just when did this idea actually happen?
So with I graduated from with Pilani in 2018 September. That's when I graduated, and we started working on this company called Homingos. So that's where we started. That's where, I mean, I told you, right, in the final year of my college, this handwritten letter thing happened, and that's where the whole idea sort of popped up. Uh, so we started with Homingos. So me and Rajat, we never worked anywhere. We did intern at Nutanix because they were giving us really interesting stipends, so we could bootstrap the company. But otherwise, we did not work anywhere. We started with Homingos, and Homingos actually became Flam because the vision expanded a lot. So we had a lot of learnings from Homingos, and Homingos was a really interesting company. It could have been, we had a $50 billion market when we were working on this smart photo product at Homingos as well. But then the vision expanded a lot when we started to talk to people in the valley, and we started to understand that the use case that we are having in Homingos is actually a social network that we are building. So we rebranded everything, and it's actually a new sort of a form that you can say, which happened in May 2021. So obviously
So,
there were a lot of learnings from before, and we were working on this technology for last 1.5 years now, you can say.
yeah.
Uh,
I just
so
want to rephrase it. You are actually a 2-year-old startup which pivot, and you pivot in the right way from Homingos to Flam, and really kudos to that. It is so hard to pivot because when you're building something, you're so set in that. So I think if I were an investor, I would really like the fact that you rebranded yourself. You went to the ground, level zero, and redid yourself. I think that's really commendable. If I'm not wrong, your investor would have loved that. One of the things.
everyone loved that, and I think you're absolutely right. Be the investor, and we were very clear. Even while we were while we were raising the round, we were Homingos. We still did not say that we are Flam because, I mean, you're so much attached to that word that it was very hard for us. But yes, I think everyone loved that fact that we were really quick in rebranding because we knew it's not, and with the honestly, more than a pivot, it was a uh, very organic or a natural call, because we were expanding our vision way too much. Like from a $50 billion market opportunity, we were now tapping a $1 trillion market opportunity, and then geography wise as well. So this was a global play, global product. So we wanted to name it in a way which makes sense for everyone.
Right. Yeah, amazing. So, what is FLAM actually? I wanted to ask: is it an abbreviation for something, or is it just you want to create a I don't know, flamboyant product? What is FLAM?
uh, Flamboyant, yes, for sure. But I think more than flamboyant, it has a very interesting reason. So what we are building, when we talk about metaverse or when we talk about augmented reality essentially is tricking the reality, right? So you trick reality into something which is even more beautiful, even more immersive, right?
Yeah.
So the word flam means trick or deception. So if you
Ah,
find the meaning of the if you yeah if you find the meaning of the word flam, it means
right.
trick or deception. So that was the reason why we loved this word a lot. Second thing is, flam can replace the word scan. So just like you say Google it instead of search it today, or just like you say WhatsApp it instead of text this message today,
Yeah.
flam can literally replace the word scan. So whatever you are doing in the world with your camera, when you're looking at something through the camera, everything is flam. So you are flamming everything. So you flam it, you flam everything, right? So flam is a really interesting word because it can be extended in very interesting ways. So just like you say scan it, you can say flam it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a flammable reality after flam. So
Wow. This is, to me, this is like the most important takeaway from today's interview. How you have come up with the name of a company which can become a verb in a conversation. It
yeah,
tomorrow.
that was also the point with her, because honestly, it feels so amazing, right? How can companies like Google can just replace? I mean, nobody says search it.
Yeah,
Everyone says go Google
Google
it.
it. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Really, really amazing. This is another pattern which is bringing another aha moment into me. So I want to, keep talking. I want to keep experiencing aha moment with Shaurya Agarwal, the co-founder of Flam, a social metaverse platform, the next gen platform, if you will. But we have to close this podcast. We have to call it a night at some point. So one last question to you, Shaurya, is
Sure.
what is your biggest message or takeaway from your experience as an entrepreneur to youth entrepreneurs? What is that one thing you want to tell them, bold, straight, and clear?
Sure. Sure, Vida. Thanks for this opportunity. I'll definitely take this moment. So, guys, like, don't wait for things to happen. You will have to really go and make it happen. So, whenever you feel that something is not right, or if you really care about something way too much, then just go and do it, because nobody else is gonna do it better than you, because you care about that world. You want to make sure that world exists, so just go and do it. And there is no right time. I mean, don't glamorize anything for maybe while you're in college, you need to do something, or when you're 40 or 50. Whenever you find that you care about something more than anything else, I think there won't be a better person to execute that.
Um, so that is the message coming from the heart of a founder who's creating the future platform, futuristic platform here. And that message definitely touched my heart. I'm sure it's going to touch a lot of hearts. Thank you so much, Shaurya Agarwal, for the most valuable hour you've spent with us. You're inspiring a whole next generation of entrepreneurs here. And we eagerly look forward to using your product in the US market here. I'm sitting here in Silicon Valley and I am going to go to Walgreens and I'm going to check out your product. So, guys, if you're in the US, check out the product in Walgreens. It's being tested, it's early release. And in India, the product is available already. It's called Flam. And with that, I'll close the podcast and see you in the next episode of Pitch Cafe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.